it loud! Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Let's Get Loud. I'm your host, Ingrid, and with me is my friend and co-host, Ruby Robinson. Ruby, thank you so much for joining us today on Let's Get Loud. And today we are going to discuss the implications on what leaving a marriage has on children. Now, Ruby mentioned her daughter, Katie, and I just want to dig a little bit deeper into how the splits, the cause and effect it had on Katie. And Ruby, I just want to find out from you. I know Katie is one of those smile, sweet, kind, gentle persons. One of the sweetest and kindest persons I've known. I know, right? But I want to know, is there anything deeper on the Katie? Like, I know I met her when you all just moved out.
Yes.
But I met a nice kid. I never heard a complaint. I never heard you talking loud to Katie.
No.
Was there anything from the school or anything, or how did the whole split, how did it contribute to her behavior?
Well, she didn't have no unusual behavior when this happened. When I made the decision to separate in 2000, it didn't affect her in a way where I had to go to school or anything for any unusual behavior. And I didn't get any complaint from no one, not even at church, about her misbehaving,
Because I know I worked with her at church because we used to dance together, right? We used to do a lot of dancing together in the youth group.
Yes.
And I never had to at one time talk loud to Katie or anything.
No, she up till now, she's very respectful.
Yes.
And she not going to talk back to people. Even if they're younger, they're older, she not going to talk back to them. But I don't think it affects her, but not in a way that it affects her that she act up.
So while you were in the marriage and going through crying and the whole depression and being sick, what did she say to you during that time?
Well, I remember one day she saw me crying and she said, "Mommy, I don't know," because she knew it was the problem that was making me cry.
Right.
She said to me, she said, "Mommy, why do you just leave Daddy and done?"
And what did you say to her?
I said, "Okay, I think I'm going to do that." She said, "Yeah, it makes sense, it makes sense you hear putting up with his behavior,
Right.
So I said, okay, and then she didn't say anything else,
That was it.
Was it. But like I say, she didn't really give me a problem, like like some kids would run away or they want to be going out or they want
what about the going out? Because I know a lot of kids want to go to find that company.
No, she never did that. She stick to me the whole time, until she reached adulthood.
So
that's when she began to slip away.
But what about when, like, PTA, and did she say anything about that? When some kids see both parents or they see their daddies coming, my daddy come, my daddy come.
Yes, well, I remember one time it was PTA. She said, "Mom, we have this PTA tonight." And I said, "Okay then." So she said, "Well, how we going to get to PTA?" I said, "Well, I have to ask your auntie or ask somebody to give me a ride." At that time, I wasn't driving, so I had to get a ride from somebody. So anyway, she said, "Well, Daddy should have been here to go and take us." I said, "Yeah, but he's not here. I think he was traveling at that time. So he wasn't here to go." So anyway, even if he was here, he would have never gone. It was always me. Just me going to every function, every little thing that she had to take part in.
Sports day.
Yeah, sports day. And she used to play in softball.
Oh, yes,
so I had to take her and hitch ride and take her there and stay there with her sometime until she finished, And she's kind of sensitive. So I remember one day she went to softball, and when I picked her up, she was crying. I said, "What happened?" She said, "I don't think I want to come back." I said, "Why?" She said, "Oh, the coach screamed at me." But I don't think that it was that he screamed at her because of anything that she have done. I think it's because you know how coach go, coach people that coach ball and stuff, they be kind of little loud. So she wasn't used to anybody talking loud to her, So she was a little sensitive about it, and she said, "Well, I don't think I want to go back, mommy. I don't want to go back." So I said, "Okay, if you don't want to go back, well, you don't have to. That wasn't something that she had to do."
Right.
Yeah.
But did she go back?
I think she went back like twice. And then after that, then she didn't have any more interest in it, and then she didn't go back. Yeah.
And I know after Hurricane Ivan in 2004, you had to make a big decision.
Yes.
The decision to send her away.
Yes.
How did that affect you, Ruby?
Well, it was hard.
Describe hard.
Hard. When I say hard, it was hard for me to send her away from me, And I remember one day, like I would say like 2 weeks after Hurricane Ivan, my sister-in-law called me and she said, she lived in Boston, and she said, "Ruby," she said, "how are you?" I said, "We are doing okay." She said, "I was thinking about you today." And I was saying, I'm going to ask you, would you like to send Katie up here to me for a couple of weeks?
Okay.
And she said, until things start getting back to normal, in school and everything, I mean, they understand how bad the hurricane was and how everything was going. So I said, okay, I would think about it and make a decision to send her. She said, okay. So I said it to Katie, and she said, yes, mommy, I want to go with Issa. I want to go with Issa. I said, okay. So I spoke to her aunt about it, her father, sister. We moved. We kind of close and moved good. And she said, yes. She said, yeah, I want to go up there a little bit too. So come, let's go.
Okay.
So anyway, we get ready and packed and everything and headed up to Boston. Going up to Boston, we spent a week there.
That's good.
And so I said, okay, Zoe, I call her Zoe, my sister-in-law, and I said, you think you could manage Katie here? I said, what do you think? She said, yes, you leave her here with me. And then she have a daughter the same age, like a year different.
Okay. And
she said, yeah, no problem, just leave her here. So I said to her, how much you going to charge me? She said, I'm not going to charge you. I could never do that to you, But me and her is very close too. So anyway, she said, you leave her. So I leave her. But
how did that feel when you had to get on the plane without Katie? Did you cry?
I cried the whole way coming back. To Kim, and I cried. And her aunt too, because
everybody was crying.
Yes. Anyway, she stayed there with them, and then they got her into school, and she settled in, and she did very well, and she spent a year there and finished high school.
And during that year, did you go to visit?
Yeah, I went several times visit. We'd go and spend like a month or 2 weeks, and then be there with her. And yes.
What about her dad?
No, he never traveled look for her. You didn't hardly call her, But she didn't really make it affect her,
So what about her allowance? Did he contribute to that?
No, he didn't. It was just me. I contribute everything, although her aunt wasn't charging me to keep her there, but I still, my conscience,
wouldn't allow
me to just not send money for her. So
I remember one time you told me about Katie wanted to go to a movie and she called you for money, but you were busy at the shop. Tell us about that.
Yes. And I remember one Saturday she called me and she said, "Mommy, I want to go movies tonight with my cousin and I need some money." And she told me how much she need. It wasn't a lot of money. So I said, okay, I would go and send it. But then I was really busy, so I couldn't leave to go. So I called her father and I said, "Can you do me a favor? Go and send." I tell him how much to send for her. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to do it right now." So That right now when I come get.
Oh, God. It's still coming.
Yeah, so she gone down. He said, tell her go to Western Union.
Wow.
And I'm going to send the money now. Anyway, she gone down to Western Union because where my sister live is not far. Like just down the road.
Down the road.
So she gone down the road to Western Union, gone and live. At that time, you had to fill out a little paper, you know, and your information in order to get this money. So she gone and she filled out the paper and hand it to the people. And when they check, they say, no, we see nothing here for you. So she said, okay, I will just wait. So she called me. She said, Mommy, imagine Daddy not send the money yet. I said, okay, well, just hold on a little bit. So she hold on and she go and check again and nothing. She keep going checking and nothing. And that child was there for probably, I would say about 2 hours. Filling out paper and asking these people. So she called me bawling, Mommy, imagine Daddy not send the money to me as yet.
How did that make you feel?
Make me feel angry. I was so angry that day. So angry, very angry.
Wow.
Anyway, I called my friend and I asked her where she was. She said she was in town. So I said, can you do me a favor? Go and send Katie some money for me and tell her how much to send. She said, okay, I'm doing it right now. So I said, I called Katie and I said, my friend go and send the money to you. So she said, okay. So she went and sent the money and she got it. And she called me, she said, Mommy, I got the money. I said, okay. So I told my friend, I'll come by the shop then and you pick it up from me. And she did that. And then she got the money and then she went to the movies and they bought pizza and whatever and then went back home. Yes. So I asked him then, I said, well, you imagine, you know, I asked you to send the money. It's your daughter. Your one and only child. Why didn't you send the money? So he find all kind of excuse. He find all kind of excuse. So anyway, I just
write it off.
Yes.
Write it off.
But she was hurting, you know.
Did she ever talk about that?
Yeah, she did told me. She said, Mommy, imagine. Daddy think up to just the other day, a couple of weeks ago, she said to me, she said, Mommy, imagine. Daddy had me waiting at Western Union so long for this little money, she said, and he never did send me money.
Did she ever talk?
That I forgot about that?
Did she ever talk to her dad about it?
Well, I don't think she talked to him about it because she's the kind of person is that she don't like
confrontation.
Yes, that's the way she is. She don't like arguing and she don't like problems, so she would push it aside and
but sometimes when we push things aside, you don't think it mounts up and affects us eventually.
Yes, I do think because that will affect me when I was you know married to him and going through the problem. But I don't think it affect her as much now like before, you know, and she still remember.
Because sometimes when we remember things, it means then we haven't really dealt with it, we haven't brought it to the surface, we haven't discussed it, and we haven't put a resolution to it. So every now and again it keeps coming back up, coming back up. So maybe you should encourage her to just have a talk with her father. And just ask her, no confrontation, just have a conversation. Just say, you know, Daddy, remember that time I asked you for the money for the movie? Why? What happened to you? Why didn't you send the money? Just out of curiosity and to close it and to even say, you know, that this is how I felt. So he can have a time to maybe apologize to her.
Well, I don't know. I don't think she have done it.
Maybe
and there is time she would say, you know, Mommy, Daddy called me, but I can't bother with him. You know, I can't bother with him. You know. Can't bother with him. Or sometimes he would cook and call her for food and she would say, well, I'm going by Daddy to pick up some food, you know, and things like that. But
maybe
I think she's something you should. You say that now, I really encourage her to, you know, to talk a little more about it, you know. Yes.
So she came back home and what happened?
When she came back home, and she got a little job at immigration.
Department of Immigration.
Job, and and then he always would go by look for her. And
what would he say when he would tell his friends?
And then she know when she used to sit at the desk, you know, she could have seen him coming. And when she see him coming, she would say, she said, Mommy, you know, I saw Daddy coming, you know, and I run and hide. And I tell my co-worker, I'm not here. I'm not here. I said, why would you do that? Why would you do that? She said, no, I don't want to see him. Just because I'm working there now, he wants people to come and say, oh, that's my daughter.
Typical money.
Yeah,
that's my daughter. Yeah, now grown up, that's my daughter. Yes, working with the Department of Immigration.
Yes. And there's times she says she would have come up and talk to you.
Right.
And there's times she didn't have to talk to you, so she would have just hide it. I said, okay, you know. But with all of that, you know, I've never said to her, well, you know, your father is this and that or whatever. I let her see for herself.
That's good to know.
You know, who he was and what kind of father he was. But I've never said to her, you know, with your father, you know, like some people would curse him and say the worst things about him. You know, I've never said that to her.
That's
never,
so good. That's
ever
commendable.
said it to her. Yes.
Because that's her father.
Even up till now, you know, if his birthday or Father's Day, I say, did you call your daddy? Wish him happy Father's Day? Or call him to your birthday? No, Mommy, I didn't remember it was his birthday. But, you know, I would always remind her. So I don't want to have that on my conscience or my guilt to say that I tell her bad things about him, that, you know, that she would really get to hate him or whatever. So,
that's commendable because you find that a lot of parents in a situation like you're a single mother, fending for your child, paying all your bills, that you would start piling and getting the child to think in a negative way. Right? And then you end up with a negative child who becomes a negative adult, who becomes so toxic that no, they can't appreciate anything, that they can't love because of all the toxic that's in them that they can't get out. So it's good to know that you did that, because not a lot of parents do that. I've seen it with my own eyes where mothers tell their children all manner of evil against their father, not remembering that without a father, that child wouldn't be there.
I did tell her, and I said to her, regardless of what, that's your father. That's your father. And I always tell her, I say, forgive him. Forgive him, you know. Forgive him.
And a part of forgiveness, too, you know, a part of forgiveness, which we'll be going into in more details in our next show about forgiveness. From your perspective, and forgiving him for what he did to you. But we have to remember that forgiveness comes out of the fact that we have to not only make a decision to forgive, because like I said earlier, you know, Katie keep talking about how she felt. So maybe she needs to, you know, talk to her dad and just let him know how she felt. Give him an opportunity to say, Katie, I'm sorry. Because sometimes those two words, I'm sorry, it goes further than any human being can think. Just an apology. Say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So maybe we should just give him that opportunity. You know?
I remember one day he called me and he said he was calling her and she wouldn't answer the phone. And as she see his number, she hung up to answer the phone. And then he called me. He said, where is Katie? I said, she's supposed to be at work.
Right.
But you know, I'm calling that little girl and she wouldn't answer the phone. I said, keep calling. I said, keep calling, you know. So he said, okay.
So you would say the relationship between the two of them is not the healthiest, but it's not the worst.
It's not the worst, because there is time he would cook and he would call her for food, and sometimes if I call her and I say, where are you? She said, I'm going to daddy. He cooked, so I'm going to get some food from him, you know. Or he would and a little thing he need help, like if he need like some form fill out that he can't do it or he don't understand, he would call her. And you do this for me, and she would say yes, you know. Or he would come by, look for the kids.
Right. I was just going to ask you about that. Kids. What's the relationship between him and the grandchildren?
Well, he don't come around that much, but he do make much of them, you know, when he see them, if they go where he is or whatever, he will, you know, hug them and say, grandfather babies, you know, and whatever like that, you know. Yeah, but they get on now and then, when I guess when she feeling good to be around him, when she feel good to be around him or whatever.
So how does that make you feel though?
Well, I told her one day, I said, well, I guess that's your father. You have to love him, regardless of who he is, what he is. I don't want to have anything rested on me that I would say, like, you go in here, don't take them children there, or or something like that. I don't want that to happen.
Right. Well, you mentioned something a while ago. You said when she feels like being around him. Have you ever asked her what would stop her from wanting to be around him?
Well, I didn't mean her really didn't get that discussion deep discussion. But I know there is times she would say to me, "Well, Daddy was calling me, but I didn't want to talk to him now."
So do you think now that you're aware, because sometimes you're not aware of what's happening. So now that you're aware of these things, do you think it's a good time to really start asking her questions?
Yes. Now that you said it, I go in to ask her, I'm going to talk to her.
Find out what's going on in the mind,
How she think, how she think about him, or if she still remember.
Or maybe facilitate, Ruby.
Yes.
Because you're at the stage now, and you'll hear more about Ruby's forgiveness journey and forgiveness story. And know that you're at that stage where you can sit in the same room.
Yes.
Maybe now it's a good time, Ruby, to sit, the three of you, just the three of you, and just talk.
Yes.
Because, a lot of us sit and nurse our wounds.
Yes.
And then the day comes when death walks in the door, and we never got that opportunity to say, this is how I felt when you did this.
Yes.
You never gave me the opportunity to say, I am sorry.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who need to say, I am sorry.
Yes.
Because they don't know they have offended you. They don't know they have hurt you. Of course, in this scenario, he may know he has hurt her, yes, and he doesn't know how. Because a lot of people want to say, I'm sorry, but they don't know how to have that conversation.
Exactly.
They don't know how to start the conversation.
Yes.
And so it takes people who know better, who are now aware, and now that you're aware, to say, you know what, maybe this is the next step I need to do to heal my family. Because this is still your family. To bring closure.
Right.
Closure, so everybody can walk around freely. So when he calls her after this, she'll pick up the phone.
Yes.
Because she'll feel different towards him. Because she'll know why Daddy didn't send me that money. Why did I have to sit at Western Union? Why did Daddy have to travel all the time? Why didn't Daddy stay home with us?
Yes.
Why did Mommy have to raise me all the time?
Right.
Why did Mommy have to go to PTA all the time? Find out. Give him an opportunity. Sometimes when we're young, we do crazy things.
Yes, sure.
And the older we get, a cousin of mine called me and said to me, Ingrid, the older I get, I realize how precious time is.
Exactly.
He says, yes, I realize how precious time is.
Sure.
He says, it's the first I'm realizing how precious time is. So sometimes when we're young and vibrant, we think we have the whole of our lives in front of us.
Yes.
And then we realize one day we wake up and we're like 6 years old, and we're like, oh my God, how did I get here?
Yes.
When did I get here? And like I said, it's just too late when that person departs from this world to say, I'm sorry. So let me encourage you, Rose, now that you're aware, to facilitate that meeting. Find out, sit and have a talk with Katie.
Yes, I will.
And find out what's going on in her mind.
Yes.
What drives the behavior. Yes. And then eventually, sometimes it will take more than one time.
Yes.
Sometimes you can't ask too many questions one time.
Yes.
Because you open up a wound that you think is sealed, but it's not really sealed. Today I knelt down on my knee that I fell off the bike, and I realized, the outside, the scar looks dry, but
inside
it's
sore.
oh my
Yes.
God.
Yes.
When I knelt down, I'm like, how many of us feel like this?
Yes.
The outside looks pretty,
yes.
but the
Inside is so scarred. It's so scarred. It's like, oh, it's only you know.
Right. So let me encourage you as a mother, as a Christian, as a woman who has forgiven and has been forgiven.
Oh.
Thank you, Jesus. We are all forgiven because, you know, God hates divorce, but He loves the divorcee. So we have all been forgiven.
Yes.
So as we have been forgiven, let us forgive one another.
Yes.
And let us use the opportunity while we're still here to express, to load up our feelings, to talk about what's hurting us, to talk to the people who are still alive, that we can express, we can say to them, you know, this is what you did, and I didn't feel good when you did it. No confrontation. Nobody's telling you to go there and no.
Yes.
Just having a conversation.
Yes.
Just say, you know, Daddy, this is how I felt when I had to sit at Western Union and wait.
Yes.
This is how I felt when you weren't there and Mommy had to hitch a ride and take me to PTA. This is how I felt when the coach yelled at me, Daddy. Because who knows? I don't know if he yelled at Katie anytime why the coach yelling at her would cause that reaction.
Yes.
And that's the thing, we don't stop to think, okay, what could have caused that reaction?
Yes.
What could have caused that reaction when Katie went to the softball and you said that the coach yelled at her and she says, I don't want to go back.
Yes.
You know, did we stop to think? Or we just put another band-aid over it and not dig enough to get the pus out of the wound before we stitch it up, so that when we stitch it up, it heals well.
Yes.
And sometimes we have to listen to our kids, listen to what they're saying to us, verbally and non-verbally, through their behavior. Now, you heard that Katie's behavior showed school. She was a good kid.
Yes.
But Ruby did touch on something that when she became an adult, she started doing her own thing, which adults are adults. They are free to make their own decisions, right? But then again, sometimes our adult decisions are made out of our childhood experiences, and we choose the wrong partners based on our childhood experiences because we're looking for what we didn't have.
Exactly.
In the adult relationships that we are trying to foster. And then we find that we end up with the same thing in our adult as we left in our childhood. So I would encourage you, talk to your kids, listen to them. Don't shut them down. Listen to them. Listen behind the feeling.
Exactly.
See where they're coming from. Hear where they're coming from. Listen to them carefully and help them, because again, the toxin that goes inside a child, they grow into the adult and the toxin is still in them. So we end up with a toxic adult. A toxic adult who will pass on that toxin to somebody else, the wife, the husband, their own kids, and it continues. So we have to break the cycle. We have to break the cycle. We have to load up the silence. We have to load up the things that keep us silent, that we think we're the only ones suffering. When, hey, look at the two of us. Look at the two of us. Yes, similar road. Similar road. We have to understand that we can't think we're the only one in our own little boat. There's so many boats around us sailing. You'll be surprised. The minute you start talking, you'll be surprised to know how many other little boats are sailing. And we all can
some big and some small, but they're sailing. Sailing.
So we have to understand that I can reach over and help you. You can reach over and help me if we just talk. We have to remember that what happened to us, it's not for us. Our stories is not for us. It's not about you. We have to take ourselves, remove ourselves. Greg had a license plate. He told me, get out of my way. You have to get out of your own way.
Yes,
Take
yes,
you out of the picture.
yes.
Because my story, Ruby's story, what Ruby shared can help you, can help your child or your children not to walk on the same path. So load up the silence, no? Let's get loud, man. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk. And if you need to talk,
Yes.
call me.
Yeah.
345-936-LOAD 5683 or coach at letsgetloud.com. Let's talk. And until next time,
Don't be silent.
don't be silent.
Don't be silent.
Load up the silent. Right, Ruby? Load up the silent. Let's get loud. All right.
Yes.
All right. Let's get loud.